Our story begins during my fall break. 4 days isn't a lot, but boy was it worth it. The Smoky Mountains are beautiful in the fall, and my family had 2 days to enjoy the sights. On our last day there, we were enjoying Cades Cove, a familiar place to my family, but also unfamiliar as we usually visit during the summer. All around Cades Cove are trails that you can hike. And while I don't personally enjoy hiking, my mom does, so we stopped the car. Now the trail we chose starts at a bridge that crosses a small creek. My father took a picture of my mother, sister, and I on the bridge. And while she went back to look at the picture, my sister and I explored the area by the creek. I love water. How it glitters when the light hits it just right, the sound it makes running over stones, it's magical. I have a problem resisting jumping on rocks in streams or just outright splashing around in them. But it's fall and my father checked the water earlier that day and it was pretty chilly and I had no intention to get wet at the moment. But the creek was practically calling to me, so I hopped around on the rocks that weren't totally submerged. Eventually my fun took too long, so we were going to go back to the car. My father told me to get out of the creek, but I was determined to cross it. It was like a real-life logic puzzle. Cross the creek without falling in. It was just me and the creek. And suddenly it really was just me and the creek. The forest around me stilled. No birds, squirrels, or deer. Not even my family and the other people. I was alone. It was like everything but myself was plucked from the forest. All was silent except for the burble of the creek and the soft sound of music in the distance. I've always been curious, always have been, and always will be, so the faint sound of music behind me was definitely something that I needed to explore. So I turned back, crossed the river, which I was only halfway across, and set off to discover what was causing it. As I walked through the woods, the music got louder and louder until I reached a clearing, and right before my eyes was a wondrous sight, a lovely festival taking place with creatures I have only heard about in stories. Many of them were humanoid, and they were gorgeous. Their beauty was out of this world. There were elves, centaurs, and satyrs. There were dryads with flowers braided in their hair, and sylphs whose dresses were like see-through silk, fluttering in the wind. It was magical, but I felt out of place. I was no fairy or fantastical creature. I was just me, a curious girl who followed the music she heard, and that feeling of loneliness caused me to go back to the river. I went back to where I had stopped and slowly worked my way to the other side of the creek. Slowly but surely the music faded and other sounds replaced it. The wind in the trees, the twittering of birds, the chittering of squirrels, and the sound of other people. The sound of my family. My sister who complained about me taking too long to cross the bloody river. My mother joking about me using rocks when there was a perfectly good bridge right there. My father who congratulated me for doing it at all. Managing to do it at all. The adventure was amazing, but I was alone. And what adventure is an adventure with no one to share it with? That was my lovely stroll in the woods. Thank you for listening.